Welcome to episode number 77 of the MR Runningpains podcast. Today, as I said it in my outro last week, we have Andrew Nelson. Andrew Nelson is one of my coached athletes, but I want to just keep an eye on Andrew's performances. I believe Andrew is an up-and-coming, future star in the sport. I think he's really going to turn some heads at the things that he can do. Not to put pressure on you, Andrew. I don't mean to do that, but I really believe in you. And I think that we're going to see some great performances coming out of Andrew in the relatively near future as he runs the Pine Creek 100, as you'll hear about in this podcast. Really appreciate Andrew in this one. We talked about a lot of things. He was very open, talked about some of the things that pop up and problems that he has while running, especially at the ultra distance. And we get into some possible resolutions and things that he can do. And potentially, if you're having some of the same problems, maybe some things you can try as well. So I hope you I hope you enjoyed this episode with Andrew. And here he is. Well, hello to Andrew Nelson. How are you, sir?
Doing great.
Awesome. It's good to see you and catch up. We haven't really had a chance to talk since your 50K. So I'll look forward to this conversation and hearing a little bit more about you. So why don't you start us off with telling us a little bit about Andrew Nelson? Who are you? How old are you? Where are you from? What's your background?
35 years old, from Central Kentucky. Been here my whole life. Started running high school, middle school. Never was really the fastest, but I always did okay. I think I got down to 10:20s for the 2 mile. But then when I was 17, after high school, just kind of got burnt out, quit running completely. Took a little 12-year break, gained about 100 pounds. I weighed at the most about 270 pounds. I was 30 years old, and I was going to have to buy a new size of pants. So I didn't want to buy a whole new wardrobe. So went out to the track and tried to run a little, but it didn't go too good. I was couldn't do a whole quarter mile. So I did run the straights, walk the curves for about 5 miles. Immediately got injured. But that runner's high came back to me, and I remembered it, and it kind of just started working back from there. That was August of 2016.
And what are you down to these days?
About 180.
180. Right on.
90 pounds off. Almost back down to high school. About 10 pounds off.
Right on. That's pretty amazing. So you built back, obviously, and then what was that journey like? Tell us about you obviously you started building back, but you've kind of come a long way. I look at your ultra sign up and I see 100 miler in there and so yeah. Tell us about that journey.
It's not a straight line. I guess nothing ever is. But I decided I wanted to do a marathon and started working for that. And of course, the one I picked out was in Nashville, and it just happened to be a record high. They hit 90 in April, and was way off on my time. But then the next marathon I did was in Gettysburg in November of that year, and I didn't even finish it because of an injury. But and then I heard of there was a race in northern Kentucky called the Big Turtle 50, and where we have a hunting cabin up in Wisconsin called the Big Turtle Lodge. So I was like, well, might as well try that. I didn't know anything about trail running though. I ran it in her road shoot, and but not long after hearing about it, I found out that they were having a 100-mile race basically in my backyard called the Warhammer. And well, it's there. I might as well go ahead and do it. I didn't know any better. So I signed up for it, and I did well at the Big Turtle. I got fifth at it, but I injured my tibialis during that race. And then 2 weeks, I was able to run through it, but then 2 weeks before Hammer, I sprained my ankle. PT went to PT and kind of got it straightened out, and they said I could run, so I was going to go ahead and do that. And actually, during the race, I got bit by a dog right above the ankle, right next to the injured tibialis. But I still didn't know anything about trail running. I was still running in pair of road shoes and didn't know anything about salt or really much about nutrition. So about 60 miles in, I wound up shaking uncontrollably and having to drop. But use that as fuel for the next one.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you learned a ton of stuff, just from just from one experience. Which obviously, if you throw yourself into a 100-miler, your learning curve is going to be pretty steep.
I didn't know better.
Yeah, read it. But it seems like along this progression of what you've done, there seems to be like a lot of some of them are not your fault, but I mean there are others that your injuries kept manifesting themselves. Do you attribute that to trying to ramp up too quickly?
Yes.
Yeah, just doing too quick, or
Yeah, and it took time. Like, it's hard to describe. I could start running and my fitness would come back faster than probably my body was ready to structurally. And then I think the weight loss also, I lost some strength. So building that strength up and just getting my tendons and everything just used to the strain. Because cardiovascularly, I could do more quickly than I could physically handle.
yeah, yeah.
Then I'd get highly motivated and do too much.
Yeah. Well, and so Warhammer was the one that kind of that's the one you terminated at 60 miles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but if I go over to Ultra Sign Up, it looks like you've got I see two 100-mile finishes. Is that correct?
Three. One of them's at the very bottom. There wasn't enough finishers for Ultra sign up to consider it a
Oh,
race.
is that the Falls 100?
Yeah. There
Okay.
was 21 started, and there's three of us that finished.
Oh my goodness. And what do you attribute that to?
It it was first year they had the race.
Okay.
Up until a couple months before that, it was an ATV park.
Okay.
The trails were straight up and down, and there was no route base on the trails, so it came a 3-4 inch rain the
Oh
night
my
before,
goodness.
and it was a mud pit. The two other finishers actually were finishers at Jewel,
Oh wow.
and they were. I was the only one that finished without poles too. I learned that with poles.
You learned the hard way.
Yeah,
So that was December of 20. So that was your first 100-mile finish, right?
actually, it was a 13 mile loops. It wound up being 104.8, and the last loop I actually got to put on my Warhammer shirt from where I DNF'd, and that was kind of my victory lap.
So you got the finish there. That was your first 100-mile finish. I'm sure you brought a ton of lessons to that one. So by this time, did you have a nutrition plan? And yeah, so
Yeah.
you're a little bit better off in this one. Any injuries leading up to this one or in this one?
No,
No.
no,
Good.
no. Actually, everything went well for me.
Okay. What did you do in your build up for that one? Did you have any races that you used to build up into that one?
I was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I did a marathon, a road marathon, a month before, early November, and it was over in Bowling Green, the BG 26.2. I was just trying to get a Boston qualifier, and I got a personal best there.
Okay. You said 252?
256.
256. Nice.
But
Sweet.
yeah, just bounced around, just doing whatever was fun. We'd go down to Frozen Head and do the 20-mile loop. And then did a half marathon where after the finish, I got to go back and run with my wife. And it was her first half marathon. And just having fun.
Nice. Is 2:56 still your PR at the marathon,
Yeah.
or yeah?
I haven't actually done a road marathon since.
It scarred you that bad, huh?
Yeah.
I can understand. Right on. But like I said, you've got quite the smattering of different events, and they're typically more towards the Tennessee, Kentucky. Uh, I mean, looks like you kind of stay there. Um, you've got Pine Creek coming up, and that's kind of venturing out of your territory. You're moving up to Pennsylvania. um, what made you choose Pine Creek?
Very easy to crew.
Okay.
My wife's my crew, so and if we go too far out, the boys come with us, and that makes it. Well, I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
I try to be as easy on them as possible.
Yeah. What do they think of your ultra adventures?
Oh, she is amazing. She gets more into it than I do.
Yeah.
She will at the falls where it's a 8-lap course. She's actually had people think she was the aid station and come up and start eating.
That's fantastic. Does she pace you at all?
No, well, she did at the Backyard Classic, the 8 hour.
Okay.
He came out and it was around 92, 93 degrees, and I was 40 miles in, and heat was starting to get to me. So she she could tell I wasn't doing too well, so she ran half a lap out with me and cheered it for me for the rest of the laps.
That's great to have a supportive wife and
Yeah,
somebody that's on board. It makes it so much easier to not feel as uh, as bad for going out there and training and racing. That's really great.
she's handy to have too whenever I'm having a pity party. She'll yell at me to get back going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. And so tell us a little bit more about Pine Creek too. What's the elevation change? What
There isn't any. 600 or 800 feet in 100 miles.
That's pretty incredible. Oh my goodness. What's the surface like?
Crushed gravel. From videos I've seen, it looks very similar to Tunnel Hill, which is
Okay.
a trail here.
Okay.
So it's double out and back rail trail.
Okay. Right on.
Extremely fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're getting you prime, man.
Yeah.
The 50K that we'll talk about here in a little bit. That you knocked it out of the park on that one. That was awesome. What's like? I hate to keep scrolling back through your ultra sign up results, but was that your fastest 50K?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was my first one that was on road. The others have been all like Yamaka, Mundo, all trails with a lot of single track.
Okay, so this one being all road, how did you feel after that? Like, what was the recovery if you compare like a trail run to the road race 50K? How'd that go?
Significantly better than my last road marathon. And the road races, it seems like you get more muscle soreness,
Mm-hmm.
but it really wasn't that bad.
Good, good. Well, I mean, your training has really been. I mean, I can surmise that people can guess that I've been coaching you now, but your training has been spot on. Like everything I plug in there, it's always done, and it's done to a T too. I mean, what do you do for a profession?
Pharmacy tech.
Pharmacy tech. Okay.
I'm,
I would have guessed engineer, just with the precision that you execute.
insurances all
I gotcha. But man, yeah, you follow everything to the letter. I mean, to the T. It's and when I look at your consistency on your intervals, it's just incredible. So it's really fun, coaching you because it's like I plug a workout in and you just nail it. So yeah, it's been really cool watching that. So leading up to this, we I guess we can say like, what made you want to seek out coaching?
Consistency.
Consistency. You can.
I've always been all over the place. so I kind of wanted to see what I could do if I just focused in.
Right on. Yep. Yep.
My goal is long term, see what I can do in a couple of years. And
Cool. No, it's, I mean, and like you said, we've been consistent. I mean, you've been nailing all the strength routines, mobility, everything. So it's, I like, I can't wait to see what how the 100 goes, because it's everything's pointing in the right direction. So we got you into this 50K, the Hardin Mead, which is in Kentucky. And as you said, it's a road race. Was it a looped course or point to point, or how did that?
and out in that area, Trish Beth calls it my tribe. We know a bunch of runners out there. We've done a few races out in Western Kentucky, and we really like the people that run out there. We actually spent the night before the race with a friend named Chris Orrick, who ran the race. And it's no entry fee, no aid stations, no markings. They say go, and you finish at a pizza place down along the Ohio River.
That's all.
It's a fun race. Oh, no shade. So thankfully this year it was overcast. They've had some nasty heat some years mid July in Kentucky. So
How'd you deal with aid on that? Did your wife crew again?
yeah, she
Yep.
drove, which made it really interesting because there were several runners around me, and it made it to where their crews were constantly hopping with them, and then Trish Beth was going every 3 miles meeting me and changing out water bottles. And so I had the same people cheering out for me the whole way. The ones that didn't know who I was by the end of it knew my name from talking to her and would cheer me on and coming up and seeing if I needed anything.
That's cool.
Basically, at any point, you could have just looked up and said, "Hey, can I have some water? Or can I have some food?" And there was somebody there to hand it to you or cheer for you to keep going.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if we go back and kind of look at your splits, did it feel pretty consistent throughout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I led for probably the first 16, 17 miles.
Okay.
And two guys passed me. Uh, and I was holding the same pace. They just got past me. And wound up reeling one of them in and then getting passed by somebody else at the very end. But I was happy with it. My goal was to go under 3 hours at the marathon mark and then to hold as best I could. I was able to do that. So,
This is so cool. What shoes did you go with for this road race?
um, Endorphin Pro.
You went with the American Pro. How'd you like them?
I like them. Only problem I had was the week before I had done a long run and started to get a blister on the bottom of my foot.
Okay.
And the Endorphin Pros were so unforgiving in terms of movement. It made the blister worse. And started building up around 13 miles in. And by 18, it got to where it was really affecting my stride.
Oh wow.
Then it popped. I could feel it go. And from there on, it hurt a little, and I was good to go.
Right on. Oh my god. So, have you tried any of the other super shoes?
No, I tried to get a pair of the Nikes, but I could never find a size 14.
Yeah, I guess that would be could be a challenge.
So,
I guess. Yeah. Right on. Um, so if you're taking us through the race here, like I said, you led kind of early, and then somebody else came by late in the race. Um, what was your instinct late in the race? Are you a competitive type where you're like, did you want to go with them, or
I kind of I knew I couldn't hang with him, and I knew it wasn't my beat all end all race. So I didn't quite go as far into the red as I could have, but I was definitely I couldn't have shaved off too much more time. I wasn't going to catch him, but I think I got the what would have been the second fastest time that had been ran on the course, but he wound up breaking the course record.
Oh wow. What did he end up running?
3:29.
3:29.
Yeah,
Wow, that's awesome.
which
That's
the guy
great.
that had the course record, I don't know. He had set it in a kind of a hotter year, a harder year, and he's ran, I believe, in the 2:30s for a marathon. He's a very good local runner.
Nice.
Yeah, super good guy too. His son is a state champion at mile and 2 mile, and he was out there crewing for him. His name's
Nice.
Luke, and he said he had the fastest crew of anybody.
That's cool. Right on. Awesome. And so we've got this 50K and in the build, and then what else is in your build toward Pine Creek,
This past weekend did double long runs.
right?
Felt good. The first one, 24 miles, and just easier on pace. I think I was around 750 a mile. And then the next morning, I ended up doing 30 miles at closer to what I'd like to start the 100 mile at. So a
Nice.
lot easier. It
That's
was a
awesome.
lot hotter than it was it's going to be for the 100, hopefully.
We hope. Yeah, we hope. That is a great back to back, especially coming back, after running 750 pace average, and then hitting a 30 miler the next day. So that's incredible. Um, you've really, you're showing, like I said, just tremendous signs of fitness in all regard because even your lactate threshold runs. It's just like you're nailing these paces that are just like super smooth. So um, I'm really excited about that. Um, so do you feel like you want to hit like a 50-mile effort, or do you feel pretty good about where you're at with the double long runs and everything we've been doing?
I, I'd like to try
Yeah,
kind of a dress rehearsal.
yeah,
Be nice just to kind of know how I'm going to feel. Go a little bit. My stomach tends to, around 40 miles into a race, my stomach tends to flip, and stuff that I can eat up to that point, I can't eat after that, but I can still find things to eat. So it'd be nice to have that practice of, okay, my stomach turned. Now I'm gonna go from the sweet stuff to kind of the fattier stuff. Is
uh,
what normally works for me.
I see. Okay. Have you tried, flipping it and not going with the sweet stuff first, just to see how your stomach does?
I've not tried that.
Okay.
Good
I mean,
thing.
it just could be too much sweet, and the stomach's just has like, it has too much sugar. Um, and so, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be that, we just try something a little bit, more, uh, I would say like more along the lines of like, wraps, rather, kind of real food rather than go with like the sweet gels and all the, high glucose and fructose, all the oses. um, and so I mean, maybe in like the next few long runs, that's what we try is just doing a little bit more. One great resource that I always tell people about, Scratch Labs, they do the hydration product.
Mm-hmm.
They have the portables book. Do you have that one?
No.
Um, so it's a great resource for everybody. Um, they have just recipes for very portable foods. So it's stuff that you can carry with you. Um, Even if you just have like a waist pack or something, they're just real, I mean, they're a little bit larger than gel, but I mean, it's actually really good stuff like rice balls, muffins, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Um, there, so there's some really good recipes in there. And it just kind of takes you away again from that, really processed sugary foods, and it may just do better for your stomach. So, but yeah, it's called Portables and it's by Scratch Labs. So if you go onto like Scratch's website, or I think Velo Press puts it out, like that, if you go on to Velo Press, it'd be on there, or Amazon, whatever. It'll be on there. But
Yeah.
that has some really good recipes. Um, Jason Coop also has one. I think it's on his website. He stole it from somebody else, but it's a really good, another type of rice ball recipe. It's got like some really good stuff in there. That's a really nice recipe because um, it's nice for the palate. It's not overly sweet. It's not but it has some sweetness, but it also has some savory. So it's kind of a nice mix. But those are always, it's always good to try something different like that. Some of the folks that have been doing the 100 miles and stuff, they use like just, make a tortilla wrap, and what you want inside is obviously up to you, but like mashed potatoes with like some butter and salt, that has about everything in it. Some people do like avocado, and mix something else in there. It depends on your taste. You can add bacon obviously to anything. uh, so that if you're into bacon, um, and then just other thing is, I always suggest baby food. Baby food is really easy because it's already processed. You're getting, you can get the organic packets that have just a whole smattering of different types of foods, and they're super cheap too. You can usually pick up like 10 packets for $10 at the grocery store and just get like a whole different variety, and try those. Because it's kind of like squeezing the gel. A lot of them are close to 100 calories. That's the other thing you have to check, is just make sure the caloric intake or the caloric content is high enough. But those are, some other options to seek, rather than to constantly, try to rely on the sweet stuff and then your stomach flips. Because sometimes that's really all it needs is, a different source of calories. So, but something to play with definitely in the long runs, since we have time before the 100 miler, be good to see how and then if it's going well during the shorter runs, obviously we can try it in the trial 50 miler and see, how that works out for you. But good things to do now. Do you do anything in your hydration so far as like calories go?
Tailwind,
Tailwind.
tailwind and sword is kind of
Okay.
good. That's another thing. It gets to where I have trouble with the sweet taste. I wind up having to make them a little weaker towards the end.
I gotcha. And when you say sweet stuff, what kind of calories are you doing? Like that's that's the tailwind.
Sweet and salty bars,
Okay.
foods,
Okay.
tailwind, cookies, brownies,
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
So a lot of glucose is the primary sugar. The other thing that I might suggest, and for people that are having the same type of trouble, fructose is supposed to cause less stomach distress. Not always, but ones like Spring Nutrition, they're made of like fruit and such, so you're going to get fructose as your source. Huma, again, it's going to be another fructose base. So that's supposed to cause less stomach distress. Instead of like, there's nothing wrong with goo, but if it is flipping your stomach, it couldn't hurt to try or to mix up, like what I was doing at Hard Rock was I had a mix, right? So I had goo, but I also had Spring, and I also had um, Huma. So I mixed up, what I was taking, so that it wasn't always one sugar. Because your body sees that stores, and it's just like, oh, more glucose. I'm adding more glucose to the system. So whereas like if you throw in glucose and then your next is fructose, it's going to distinguish between the two and continue to break down the glucose while it starts to break down the fructose. While if you keep throwing glucose on top of it, now you've got a lot of glucose, and it's trying to process all of it. So mixing up the sugars might help as well. So just some ideas there, because tailwind's completely separate, and you've got malted dextrose, however you say that concoction. So you've got a different ose, we'll put it that way. So that shouldn't combine too poorly with glucose and fructose, because now you've got this maltodextrose. But it's, when we put in too much of one of those oses, that's when, we can tend to get some stomach distress. So that would be the other option, is just mixing it up. So you can try both ways and see if either helps. And hopefully we work through that, that stomach distress.
Kind of my go-to that always works is peanut butter wrap.
Peanut butter wrap, yeah, yeah. So protein it's great in the longer events, obviously, because it's a long burning fuel. but it also takes longer to break down. That's the, so we don't want that too early in an event because of, we're not burning the furnace isn't too hot yet. Whereas we get later into the event, you can start to throw down because it's going to be long burn. And that's when you need the calories anyway. So it's going to be more sustainable and easier to process later in the event. Whereas early in the event, it might, again, cause some stomach distress because it's just sitting, in the stomach because it's not able to process it. So the other thing is too, obviously you've been sustaining faster paces, so you're going to go through your sugars faster. It's going to burn that stuff quicker. Whereas, if you were more at like with hard rock, for instance, when I'm running, I couldn't even say running when I'm walking 35-minute miles. The sugar didn't go as quickly, right? Like if you did a marathon. Or your 50K, that stuff you're burning quick. And so your 100-miler, you're going to be running a lot faster. So you're going to need more calories more often. But you also have to find that balance, right? So what's your typical interval? What are you doing so far as how often?
Drinking every 10 to 15 minutes.
Did you say 10 to 15?
Yeah, just taking a swig out of a handheld.
Okay. A swig of the tailwind. Yeah. And then so far as the gels go, how often are you doing those?
Gels, normally I would do about every hour and something else in between.
Okay. So, yeah, and that's another thing too with 100 miles. We probably want to kind of decrease the interval, so that you're getting more frequently. By the end of hard rock, I was, depending on what I had at the aid station, how much I had at the aid station, I was down to like 20, 25 minutes, trying to get some calories down just because I had been burning calories forever. So, it's just so it's just monitor that as well. Especially when you feel like the lull. All of a sudden you feel lethargic, you feel sluggish. Just things aren't clicking like they were. It's just, get some more fuel on the fire, right? Throw some calories down, be it taking more tailwind or, getting some good calories in. And I always like to say prepare for 100-miler like your regular day. So, do you know what time you start?
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Okay. So what time do you typically eat breakfast?
About 5 a.m.
About 5 a.m. Okay. So you'll probably have a meal prior. But like with hard rock, it started at 6 a.m., but that was Mountain Standard Time. And so I usually eat about 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that was about 2 to 3 hours later. So at the first aid station, I had breakfast because that's when my body was used to having breakfast. Same thing for lunch. At if noon, if you're used to eating, have like a meal at lunch. At noon, prepare to have something substantial. It doesn't have to be obviously like your normal lunch, but have something more sustainable, whether it be a sandwich, a wrap, a burger, whatever's at the aid station that entices you. So, and same thing for dinner. Make sure that when whatever your 6 p.m., 7 p.m. rolls around, have something larger. At that time because your body's used to it and that will keep it in its normal cycle. And then, kind of plan. It's basically about every 6 hours. So, if you get into the nighttime, then 6 hours after your dinner, if you will, your dinner meal, another sustainable. Yeah. So
hopefully I won't be going too far into the nighttime.
yes. But it's if it does happen, it's always good to have that contingency. But and again, let's play around with the nutrition now while you're in the training part of this, so that we get that right. So I think that's the thing that we don't try enough, and is trying different fuel sources, and then on race day we're like, oh, that looks good, but we've never had it, and so we grab something from the aid station table just because it looks good. And then all of a sudden our stomachs, it's flipped on us. And it's just because the body, it didn't have that in training. It wasn't ready for it. So for instance, people get in there and like, ooh, pizza, but they've never had pizza while training. You don't know how the body's going to react to it. I mean, some people have that iron gut, others don't. And then, things go south, they've got to kind of recover. So it's good to practice all those things that you may see, if you look through the website, and the website's like, we're going to have this, and this at the aid station. And you're like, oh, that might actually be pretty good. It's always great to try it in training. So Right. And then, like, have you decided what are you going to do for footwear?
Hoka Rincon shoes.
Rincon. Okay. How far have you taken that shoe
I wore them for the first time Sunday, the 30.
for the 30? Okay. No hot spots or anything like that.
No
Okay.
issue. I'd ran in the ones. I'd done some 15, 20 mile runs in the ones.
Okay.
And they're super cushion.
Yeah. And the three is just coming out. So
Yeah, so I got the twos off clearance.
you might want to pick up a few more pairs. They
Yeah,
might be blitzed by the time you get to race day.
yeah, I'm planning on doing the 50 in them, and then
Okay.
they wear out very fast, especially in
Yeah.
Austin, as big as
Yeah.
I am.
For $110 too. I mean,
Yeah, I actually got them for 80.
there you go. That's great, especially size 14. So if you can pick up those.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, just make sure there's no hot spots. One of the things that I always tell people about shoe fitting, and we've kind of gotten to a lot of tips here, but when you pull the liner out and you stand on it, just make sure the entire foot is on that platform, right? So that the toes aren't hanging off, because that's going to be a hot spot. So, like, for instance, if your pinky toe kind of hangs off, that's going to be a rub spot. So just be real cognizant of where the foot sits on that insole, so that we're not going to have any potential hot spots. And then, like you did in your 50K, if you start feeling that blister, I started feeling it on my heels in Hard Rock because of the downhills. The next time I got into the aid station, we pulled everything off, and I just used some of the what do they call it? Squirrel nut butter makes like their toes.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah. And so we just kind of smothered my foot and all that stuff, so that, and then changed my socks so that I didn't have that friction on the heel. But it's one of those things. If you feel something, take care of it as fast as you can, so it doesn't manifest itself into something else. So, but yeah, that's the worst thing, is when the feet go south. So take care of those feet. Um, but
First 100 I did, Trish Beth was amazed. She's seen somebody come into an aid station and rip a toenail off. And
oh
then she
gosh, yeah.
running.
Yeah. It's yeah, I did like the um trail marathon, and I actually felt the toenail pop off. I was like, oh, that's there was a toenail. So I had to, obviously I had to get that out of my shoe, because that could cause a lot of problems. But yeah, it's crazy what happens in these long races for sure. Um, so what else you got coming up there, thinking of? You have anything else you can think of that you want to kind of go over too? Because this has really been it's been a good session to to kind of expound some information.
Um, Dream race. It'd be awesome to be able to go under 16 in the 100 and
Heck yeah.
at least be able to put my name in for be qualified for Desert Solstice.
Nice.
Uh, at least make them tell me no.
Nice. So to do the 24-hour desert solstices,
Yeah,
that would be a goal. Yeah.
that would be. I mean, the idea of running on a track for 24 hours isn't appealing, but meeting people that are at the, you get to see some amazing people at events like that.
Yeah.
That would be very entertaining.
Absolutely. That's cool. Who do you look up to in the sport?
Besides you,
Thank you. Yeah, besides me.
Will Rivera, he owns Running Souls
Oh, cool.
in E Town. He actually won the falls the first year I did it. He laughed at me.
Oh,
I had lost my voice because I had a cold going into the race, and whenever he was laughing at me, I just said, I kind of halfway whispered, "I'd get if I had a Sharpie, I'd get your autograph." He kind of looked at me disapproving and moved on. But he actually put on the Hardin Mead race,
oh, okay.
50K. He
That's
the story I was told was he was doing it as a training run for Badwater,
okay.
and it whipped him. So he thought, "Hey, this would be a good race."
Yeah.
Uh,
I like how he does it. That's, like that's pretty cool how it's like no frills, and just get out there, free entry. But that's cool.
the only entry fee was you had to bring, or you were recommended to bring something for a local food pantry.
Nice.
Uh,
That's cool. That's very cool. I love that. That is a good person to look up to. Sounds like he's doing good things. That's super cool.
And he's actually gotten to do Big Dog's Backyard Ultra.
Oh yeah, you got to do bigs. Nice. How'd you do?
He had done the Indiana Trail 100 the week before.
Oh jeez.
Actually won it.
Oh
He
man,
still went over 100. I'm not sure how he did it.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's super cool. Very awesome, man. Oh man. Cool. Well, I mean, Andrew, that was great. Is there anything else we'd be remiss to not mention here?
I'm not gonna think that.
All right. That was really cool. And congrats once again on the 50K. You ended up third overall, which is crazy given that you ran so fast. But I mean, there are some fast folks in this world.
There was two right on my heels.
That's crazy. That's so cool that was such a fast race, though. If people want to reach out or find you, is there a good way to do so?
I'd say Strava.
On Strava, right on, and just under Andrew Nelson, right? Right on. Awesome, Andrew. Well, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for this conversation. We went over quite a few things, so I think people will take quite a bit away from this podcast. So I appreciate your time, and appreciate you, and congratulations. And we certainly wish you the best of luck at Pine Creek for sure.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Andrew, and obviously a huge good luck at Pine Creek. I'll be rooting for you for sure. I know we still have some time before it, but tremendous. Just good luck out there. As I've released this, as I noted last week, I am away on vacation, so this is a pre-recorded episode that I've put ahead to be released, so that we stay on our weekly schedule. And so I am hoping that I've had some time to work on the newsletter. But again, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, do so on my website, mrrunningpains.com. You can get on there and see old newsletters and old podcasts under the Connect With Me page. Also has my coaching information if you want to read about my philosophy and what I do for coaching. And if you want to reach out, you can do so through the MR Runningpains coaching page on the website. Other than that, it's been a nice little break from Hard Rock. I was going to kind of get back to things, and all of a sudden my ankle exploded. Literally, I mean, I don't know what happened. I was in severe pain. I couldn't sleep. It was just throbbing. I couldn't lay on the side of it. It was like the inside of my foot. And I was just in extreme pain. I had no idea what was going on. So obviously went to the doctor, because I could not walk. And my foot got really swollen. And, we did x-rays and everything, and they came out negative, so no breaks. What we are believing it to be without doing blood test is possible gout, which surprised the heck out of me. And so gout is basically, there is a substance in certain foods that creates almost like a crystal within the blood, and it gets into the joints and inflames the joints, usually in the foot. And so we're thinking it's potentially gout, and the pain has subsided, swelling is going down. I'm sitting here on a Wednesday recording this, and the pain started on the previous Saturday. So yesterday I was pretty pain free, but still some swelling. It's getting better. My wife said I had a Shrek foot. It was really swollen. It was really crazy. But yeah, as I look down at my foot now, it's returning to normal. I have to wait until all the swelling is gone, until I can kind of resume training. Did a great little hike today. So kind of coming back. So if you see me missing on Strava, that's the reason. But all is well there. So, I'll be back next week, regularly scheduled running. So until next time, keep running, my friends.
100 miles by foot. Don't ask me why I do it, I can't stay put. 100 miles to go. 100 miles to go. Don't ask me why I do it, I really don't know. Rain is a coming, rain is a coming. Can't give a shit, rain is a coming, rain is a coming. Can't give a shit.